Welcome to the Female Economist. Guys, this is my first episode ever, my first podcast episode. So thank you guys so much for being here and listening along with me. So why did I start this podcast? I know a lot of you guys are wondering why. Well, I did study economics. I have a dual degree in economics and political science. And that's not even the reason why I started this podcast. The reason I started this podcast was to enlighten, educate, and honestly inspire thousands, hopefully millions of you guys to achieve your financial dreams and live your best life. And the reason why I started this podcast kind of goes back to when I was a young girl. And from where I am now and looking back at my life trajectory, I am exactly where I need to be and doing exactly what I need to be doing. Just a little background story about me. Growing up, I lived in a suburban town, but I lived in lower income homes, lower income housing, I should say. So we grew up in a cul-de-sac where everyone was on Section 8, everyone was on food stamps, and I'm honestly proud of that. I'm proud of my humble beginnings. I was very fortunate to be living in a town that offered really good education. And telling you guys this story, but everything comes full circle, so bear with me. Growing up, I was in maybe like the second grade, and I went over to this girl's house that lived in one of my classes. I have no idea her name, but I remember this like it was yesterday. And I had a play date, and I went over to her house, and I was in awe. Like, girl was rich, had everything. They literally had a 4-story home. So they had the basement, they had the regular floor where you have your kitchen, your living room. They had the bedrooms on the 3rd floor. And then there was like a 4th floor that was like attic type of like playroom. Their house was beautiful, you guys, like completely a dream house. And I just remember going on that play date, just being in awe. They had food for days. They had like 3 cars in their garage. It was just an amazing play date. And I remember coming home from it. And I remember coming home from that play date and just being like just blown away at everything that I just experienced to now my new reality. And I remember asking my mother specifically, why don't we have 3 cars in a garage? Why don't we have a nanny? Why? Why don't we live the same life as people who live 5 miles away from us live? And my mom, she told me one thing, and that stuck with me till this day. She said, money. That's all she said. It was literally money. And mind you, I'm in the 2nd grade. So like I had all these questions. It didn't even make sense to me. I was like, okay, money. That just sounds like you can just pull it off on a tree. And throughout my career, throughout my trajectory, that moment of my life has stuck with me because it was the first time as a little girl where I understood and was able to visually see economic disparity and economic barriers of people's life, of everyday life. And that situation has stuck with me to who I am right now. And I want to be able to build and bridge the gap between wealth and welfare. You know what I mean? Like, I am a welfare baby. I was a welfare child. We had food stamps. We were on WIC. We lived on Section 8. I've been through it all, but I'm fortunate to stand where I am right now and say I've overcame all of it. And you will too if you're going through that as well. So that just brings me here from growing up at a young age and understanding, okay, the haves and the haves not fully, you guys. And I always, as I aged, I said, oh, I'm going to have it. I'm going to have it. I'm absolutely going to have it because I want it. You know what I mean? And there's a difference between wants and needs. And as we go through this podcast, I'm going to help you guys achieve things that you want and specifically need by unlocking your mindset. When you understand the world of economics, you understand how business works, you understand how our government works, you understand how people work. And there's many different types of economics. There's behavioral, that dives into consumer. There's financial economics, and that dives into personal finance. There is different types of economics. There's social economics, and that's the understanding of people. But overall, economics is the study of how we allocate our resources, right? And I'm going to teach you guys how to tap into an abundant mindset. Because when you live with a scarcity mindset, you'll never have anything. And growing up, that was me. I had to figure out, where is my next meal coming from? Mom, how many more ramen noodle packets do we have? We were living with a scarcity mindset because we didn't have much. So I learned growing up survival of the fittest. I've learned fight or flight. I learned all these things that were detrimental to me and detrimental for me even to be a powerful woman in a relationship, in a marriage. So as I aged, I had to literally unlearn everything that I learned growing up. And it was not easy. I must say it was not easy. I'm still in therapy. I had a lot of trauma in my childhood. And now I must say that I love the woman who I am becoming. I love the woman who I am today. And I still have a journey to continue to go through. Okay, guys, you heard my childhood. Well, now you're probably wondering, how did I get to where I am today? Honestly, it's been a journey, like not even a journey, a roller coaster, like dun, 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 like literally so hectic and chaotic, but I wouldn't change a thing. And I thank God for making me go through every obstacle that I went through because it shaped who I am today. And we'll jump right in. So how did I get here? Well, I bust my and climbed the corporate ladder, I must say. So growing up, I lived in this very poor neighborhood. I was on IEPs, which are like educational programs for kids who are not as smart, quote unquote. I'm going to say that because I went to school in a very predominantly white town, but we were Black kids, so they threw us into these classes that were for not as smart kids, quote unquote. So growing up in school, like I was fortunate to actually receive great education, even though I was not as smart, but education definitely made me who I am. And I value education so much because knowledge is the first start. Wisdom is the ending part. And it says this in the Bible, you guys, you gotta know knowledge. In order to understand, and you have to learn, you have to absorb everything that your brain can hold. You gotta read, you gotta enlighten your mind. And education is definitely the foundation of why I'm here. Previous to education, I'm a creative. Y'all see me like I'm a creative. I love art, and that's all I wanted to do growing up. I always dreamed of becoming a model, becoming a runway model, becoming like a super model. I said that like 3 times, like, I don't know. So that was my dream. And at 14, I was in modeling school. My mom like scraped up all her last dollars. I remember it cost $2,000 for me to join this program. And my mom cussed me out about it, like nonstop. Would be like anytime I did something wrong, she was like, you ain't going to modeling school. And like, I'm gonna unroll you. And like, it was always just this like weight over my shoulder. Like, I'm paying $2,000 for your modeling dream. Like, you better be next Tyra. And I'm not Tyra mom, but I am a boss. So wanted to always be this creative. But then as I, got to 18, was graduating high school, it dawned on me that I can go run away to New York City and sleep next to the rats and try to hustle and bustle and live my dreams. And a part of me always looks back at that turning point and was like, what if my life were to be like that? What if I did go try to be a top model and move to New York at 18 and really try to achieve my goals? But a part of me when I was in that space was like, I can't leave my family. Like my mom, single mother, I just couldn't leave her. And I was like, I'm going to go to college. I'm going to change my life. My mom didn't go to college. My cousins didn't go to college. My uncles, my dad didn't. No one in my family went to college. I'm going to go to college. So I did. And I went to college and I was like a deer in headlights. I didn't understand anything, you guys. And when I went to college, I met so many incredible mentors, so many people that just shaped my life. So I started at the University of Maine.